How do you name covalent compounds, binary compounds? Binary means that they're made only of two types of atoms. The slight advantage of naming covalent compounds with respect to ionic compounds is that when you name ionic compounds, and you might want to have a look at that video again to refresh your memory, the way to name them assumes that you know a lot of chemistry, that you know which one is the cation, which one is the anion, that you know how many electrons the cation has lost, and you put that with Roman numerals. Because there are so many more covalent compounds with respect to ionic compounds, the way of naming the covalent compounds is a bit more straightforward. It doesn't quite require you to know any chemistry, almost any chemistry. It requires you to read what you're seeing and use a little bit Latin prefixes. So the first atom is the one that is going to have the partial positive charge in the bonds. The molecule might overall be non-polar depending on how the structure is, but it kind of gives you the atom with the partial positive charge first, and that one doesn't change name. And the second one is the atom that is going to have the partial negative charge, and that one will change the ending to "ide." In a similar to that anions, remember, they also change their ending to the "ide." So fluoride, chloride, oxide. The next step is to name how many atoms you've got in that molecule. So for example, the first one, SF6, sulfur, which is the first atom, the one that has the partial positive charge. Hexafluoride, because it has 6 fluorine atoms. H2O. The first one, hydrogen, because the one that has the partial positive charge, but you have 2 hydrogen atoms, so you call it dihydrogen. And you could call it oxide or monooxide. The mono, you can use it, although it's seldom used. Normally, if there's only one atom, you don't mention that. There's only one, you can use it or not. The second one, N2O3. Well, the nitrogen goes first. So it's the one that is going to have the partial positive charge, and the second one is going to have the partial negative charge. So the first one will be the name of the atom, nitrogen, and the second one is the oxygen with a negative charge, is an oxide. So it will be nitrogen oxide. And the di and the tri tells you that you have 2 nitrogen atoms, that nitrogen, and 3 oxygen atoms, trioxide. Having said that, many of them have common names. So for example, H2O is rarely called dihydrogen oxide or hydrogen monoxide, and it's called water. And you have NH3, which, if I was using my way of naming it, would be called nitrogen trihydride. But nobody calls it nitrogen trihydride. It has a common name, and it is called ammonia.